quite some time since I've been around, but God is working, and God is always doing things in our lives, and so I'm back. Something that's really been on my heart that might have been the reason that brought me back, ultimately, is because I noticed in myself recently that I have been angry. To be honest, that's not a feeling that I'm really. I'm accustomed to it. I'm a person. I've been angry before, but it's not a feeling that I really would say I feel often, nor do I feel it very passionately or fully all the time. But recently, I've been angry. The day I'm recording this is 6 days after the conviction results of the Derek Chauvin trial. And if you're a person that's been living in America or really anywhere, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So why am I angry if Derek Chauvin was convicted on all 3 counts? Manslaughter, murder 2, and I believe murder. Why would I be angry? And that's the question I had to ask myself as well. And it's not because of that. It's because around the same time that verdict was being handed down, there was a young girl by the name of Ma'Khia Bryant. She was about 15 or 16, and she was shot down. Now, I'm not here to get into the details of that case. I would encourage you to do research and come to your own conclusions about how to feel about that. But I'm just here to be honest and say that my immediate reaction was to be angry, and that's not something I'm used to. So I was really going to God and saying, why am I angry? Why do I feel like this? And I've come across a few things that are partially through school, honestly, so thank God for that, but partially through just personal and other study that I find to be very interesting, and I feel like I wanted to share it with people, and maybe it can help you as much as it's helped me. So I just want to point us here, and this is directly, I'm going to be honest, directly pointed to my Black Christians. There will be a part here for everyone else as well, and I think all of us can learn from this. But pointing us here to James 1, I'm specifically going to be thinking about verse 20. But let's read. Let's read a little bit before. Let's start from verse 12. Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial, for once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one is to say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself does not tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. Then, when lust has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it has run its course, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers and sisters. Every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, and with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. In the exercise of his will, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would be a kind of first fruits among his creation. All right, here we are. You know this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Now everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For man's anger does not bring about the righteousness of God. Therefore, ridding yourselves of all filthiness and all that remains of wickedness, in humility receive the word implanted, which is able to save your souls. But prove yourself to be doers of the word, and not just hearers who deceive themselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in a mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. But one who was looking intently at the perfect law, the law of freedom, and has continued in it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an active doer, this person will be blessed in what he does. This section right here, has really been been speaking to me, especially verse 20. For a man's anger does not bring about the righteousness of God. Now, I started this whole thing with a little monologue about how I've been angry, and I'm sure there's a lot of other black people or just people in general who have been angry in America recently. And what I want to make abundantly clear is that what this is not saying, and what I am not saying, is that you are wrong to be angry about there being unrighteousness in the land. You are not angry. You are not wrong for being angry at that feeling. But like Paul tells us, we should, in our anger, we should not sin. So what does it mean? What does it mean then that we're angry, but knowing that our pure anger does not bring about the righteousness of God? I believe that our emotions are given to us for reasons. Oftentimes they can lead us astray, but I do believe that there is a righteous anger that does come about, and that is that you get angry like that when things are not lining up with God's word or God's image. Most often, that is what I choose to believe. I choose to believe the best about people's emotions and about people. So then, there's something very interesting that read in conjunction with this I have been thinking about, and I want to bring us to Matthew. I want to bring some Matthew. Well, I can't type either. Y'all got to bear with me. I want to bring some Matthew 18. And now, what do these have to do with each other? I've been very much wondering, what do I do? What do I do with my anger? How do I make sure that it doesn't cause me to sin? How it doesn't cause me to hate my brother? It doesn't cause me to even hate someone like Derek Chauvin, or the police officer that shot Ma'Khia Bryant, because I do believe that part of God's grace that we're here to show as Christians is that the fact that, Romans 5:8, and while we were still, Christ shows his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, he came and died for us. God died for Derek Chauvin. Christ died for Ma'Khia Bryant in the same way that he died for the officer that shot her. So how can we show love and grace and be Christian while being angry? I think this is an interesting connection that I've never made before. But there's an interesting thing I want to look at here in Matthew 18. I'm actually going to use I use the NASB a lot, but the New King James. I like it here because it says offenses, and I want the frame of mind here to be offenses, because a lot of Black Americans feel offended right now. A lot of Christians right now feel as though their brother has offended them. So with that being said, we see here in verse 6, but whoever causes, this is Jesus talking here, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believed in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes. If your hand or foot causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life lame or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into the everlasting fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into the hellfire. And then Jesus does something interesting here that I've never noticed, that he goes into the parable of the lost sheep. We know the parable of the lost sheep is often taught as a missionary evangelism kind of teaching that Jesus does here. But when we look at it in context, I think it goes a little different. We know here, I'm going to paraphrase, that Jesus talks about a man having sheep, a herd of 100 cattle. And if sheep, 100 sheep. And if one of those sheep goes astray, the man will go and look for the one. And he will rejoice as he rejoices more over that sheep than over the 99 that did not go astray. Now, what I want y'all to see here is think about this for a second. If you're a shepherd and you have a herd of 100 sheep, and one of those sheep gets lost, it gets separated from the group. Is the sheep that left your herd not your sheep anymore? Now that question might not make sense, but this is what I want to say. In order for the shepherd to go look for this sheep, it had to be a part of his flock. Jesus is talking about someone who is in the body, in the flock, who has been astray. Who has been astray. And I find that very interesting that it comes off the heels of Jesus talking about offenses. Talking about if you are the one who is causing offense, woe to you if you are by whom the man by whom the offense comes. If you're a man who is causing offense, and leading people astray, going astray yourself even, as Jesus warns against it, Jesus still, as a shepherd, or even shepherds, small s, we look for the one. And right after Jesus talks about looking for the one, in the context of offense, one who has offended, he goes into dealing with a sinning brother. And I also don't like some chapter headings. I think they cause us to think without this whole context in mind. In other translations, like the NASB, it'll say discipline and prayer. It will say discipline and prayer. But think about this. And here in verse 6 to 8, we have Jesus warning about the one who is offensive. But here I think you get a picture of the brother that is offended, our response to offense that comes our way. It says, moreover, that means it's in connection with what came before it. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. Here Jesus is quoting Deuteronomy 19:15, and it is a law saying that in trial there must be more than one witness to confirm the facts of what is being told. Verse 17, and if he refuses to hear them, tell it to the church, the body. But if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen or a tax collector. Assuredly, I say to you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in their midst of them. Now, why am I bringing this up, talking about anger and talking about race relations? I'm just going to be honest here. A lot of Black Americans, a lot of people, a lot of Americans are right here. We feel offended. We feel as though our brothers in the faith, in the body, in the church, we feel as though people do not care that their brother is suffering. We feel as though there is an apathy or even a justification to the sufferings, some killings. And again, I want to assume the best in people, but that's how it feels. We feel offended. And to us who feel offended, I want to say that God clearly has a method for us. It's very interesting here that the one who is offended, not the one who has committed the offense, is responsible to going and telling him his fault. I encourage those of us who are angry, instead of being angry and being loud and boisterous in the wrong ways, as James warns against, that doesn't bring about righteousness. What God really wants from us is unity. He tells us in the Gospels as well, that they will know us by how we love one another. There's a unity that is supposed to be in the body, and as the one who is offended, it is our responsibility to go and tell our brother how they've offended us, in private, and then in groups, and then to the church. And I know that this isn't an issue where you will need to, treat someone as a heathen or a tax collector. I don't think that if you think, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that if you think Derek Chauvin was right, I don't think that you should be, treated like a heathen or a tax collector. It will just be a division between us. But this is not just for my brothers and sisters who feel offended. This is also for those who have committed offense. I want to say that in this case, I believe that the Bible is very clear about issues of social injustices. And I'm thankful that on April 20th, 2021, Derek Chauvin was brought to justice and held accountable for his actions. But for those who are continuing to ignore issues in general, because it's not just about George Floyd's case, it's not. For those who continue to be honestly combative or willfully ignorant in my experience, I want to bring this to you in good faith and let you know that we feel offended. And there needs to be repair and there needs to be unity within the body. That doesn't mean that we're going to agree on everything, obviously. But as more and more people, hopefully, begin to bring issues to each other, and we need to bring them respectfully, and we need to bring them knowing and believing that the other party wants the best as well, there is a responsibility for the one who is committing offense. We should be observing and taking account of ourselves and thinking, how can we mitigate this? How can we mitigate this? Genuinely considering, am I wrong? Am I right? Taking an honest look at facts, at experiences, and beginning a dialogue so that we can create unity. Because for my people who are offended, the route of being angry and yelling from the rooftops and shading the other groups of people, it will not bring about the righteousness of God. And for my people who are staunchly against social justice as Christians or whatever, like anything like that, it hurts. To be honest, it hurts. And it makes it very, very hard, very, very hard to create unity as someone who is offended. But as we see here, it doesn't matter. God is asking us, Jesus says here, for us, as the offended one, to make our offense known. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So, with all that said, I love every one of you. Whoever sees this video, I don't know how many people are really going to see this, but I love every one of you. I pray that God blesses you. I pray that God brings unity. And I pray that we would be vessels in a unified church. Have a blessed day.